Alright, so someone asked me to quickly make a video about the George here and what happens if you go into the service menu and just crank things wide open. So this is what happens. This is I went in and cranked the low power adjustment up. So this is stuff that you don't want to do. Just because someone decided, and I don't think they even showed how to get into it, but they did show it. This stuff does eventually come out. It is what it is. I don't share info like that, so it's just given this stuff as a dealer. You don't share the knowledge, but this is what happens. It pinches the carrier. It looks horrible. A little bit more distortion. It's not a ton, but it's still definitely more than you need. Some of this stuff out here and here is too much. And it really doesn't do a whole lot for power for you. So I had a 1 watt carrier and like 10. So yeah, it looks good in theory on a power meter. You're yelling audio into your mic and you're screaming and hooting and hollering and you see some more power, but this is the stuff that you don't want to do. And the same thing will happen if you do it on the high power side too. It'll get even worse there. It gets really bad there. So there is a little room for adjustment. I mean, you can make some changes if you have the right knowledge and the right equipment to do it. It doesn't make a huge difference, so just be aware of that. Obviously, I believe that it's level 1 through about 4 are your low power parameters. I believe it's either 4 or 5. But now you can see we're not pinching or anything, so that's a good sign, And it's much cleaner up here as you go through the steps. That's 1. You can probably see the power jump up each one a little bit. It's still right where it should be here and here. So four kilohertz. It's probably about 8K wide, which is pretty good. I mean, for AM, that's pretty wide. That's wide enough, I think. It's good audio and everything. So just showing that this radio is actually for Joseph in Virginia. I forgot to say that, but just get asked stuff sometimes. So it's ending in 85 is the serial number. So this is what it is, and we'll be back and show a little bit more. Okay, this is what happens if you crank it wide open on AM on the high power side. So same thing. Whoops. Nice pinched carrier. Bunch of extra junk there. RF power. Actually, that was level 6. Here's 10. Everything just amplifies. So there's that. We can look at now as I lower the RF power. I think the high power begins at 5, and your low power, actually, when you crank up the high power one too, it still affects the low power, surprisingly enough. So I think low power might actually be only, let's see, I think low power might actually be only like 1 and 2, and after that it really, there's no benefit to it. So anyways, this is the stuff that you don't want to do right here. Just go in aimlessly and just crank it wide open, because it's not helping you at all. If you want to talk like that, that's fine. Everybody else will just cut right through you with just a perfectly, proper aligned radio. And that's what a lot of guys forget. It looks good on a power meter. The guys with nice transmitting radios will cut right through you, because half your power is going off channel. And, say what you will, but when the power rides the frequency, it gets there much more efficiently. Okay, Joseph, so we got you all set up the way it should be now for AM. So here's that, and it's about 4 watts all the way up. We send the signal in. Looks really nice. Just a brief adjustment, nothing too crazy here. You go too crazy, then it just works against you. So here's, I'm lowering the RF power back. You can see all the way through. There's 1, And there's all the way up to 10, so that works well. Okay, here it is on 10. So up here, and then up here on the peak, it's almost 16. Actually, it is 16, so that's giving you an idea. It's about 100% modulation, so it's really nice. And I guess we could probably say, if we had to take this measurement here, I mean, at the very extent we're 10 kilohertz wide, but the power is so low here that it's minus 64 or something. And up here we're at what? Minus 20, so we're still like at like the very extreme. We're like, because we're 5K wide here and 5K wide here, so if you looked at it, it'd be like 10 kilohertz right here, total 5K on either side. But the signal's so much lower here. Most of the energy is right here, right by the frequency where you want it. The rest of this stuff is very small, you know, so that's what you want. You don't want all that other stuff. We'll go back and look at sideband. I'm not going to over adjust it and all that because it's kind of counterproductive to what I'm doing here, trying to get through these orders. But I just wanted to show AM because I did get a couple emails saying, oh, the radio is capable of a lot more. And yeah, yes it is, but it's not going to help you. So okay, so we got some dogs in here squeaking their toys. They really like this George radio. Every time I work with the George radio, they get excited and they like to squeak. So I'm doing the alignment on sideband right now. It's a very easy alignment if you have the documentation from the manufacturer, which they generally only give to their dealers. But they tell you to turn it for 1 watt on this setting, so that's what I've done, which is about 1. Okay, I'll come back and do the other one. And on this one, they tell you to do 12, so it's a little underpowered. It's going to be the extent of that one there. So it's as close as we can get to 12, which is 11.3. So there's always going to be a little bit of a variance on these tolerances, but that's as close as we can get. Okay, Joseph, here's your two-tone on sideband. This looks really nice. So they always do. Power on this is about 12 with the two-tone. That's normal. The spectrum analyzer is here. This is your two-tone. It's your 1.9 right there. That's why we're at 203.1. And then this is your 700 right here, 204.3. So the radio is in lower sideband, so we're actually transmitting this way. That's why there's just a little bit more, but right here is kind of the signal. So you can see there's less of it here on upper, because we're suppressing upper and using lower. So that's looking really good. Alright, I'll just come back and put a microphone here and finish this one up. Okay, I got you on sideband, factory hand mic. Power coming up here, 1 2 1 2 3, check. So anywhere from about 24 to 29 I see on these at times, so you know they kind of vary with your voice. So good power radio for a regular CB radio. Can't really complain about that at all, so it works really nice. And I'll show you AM next. If you get one of these from me and your key beep isn't on, that's because I shut it off. I just have a personal preference to that. You can easily turn it back on if that's something you want to hear. Some guys might want it, so I just shut it off and usually forget to turn it back on. So that's why I'm just letting people know it's probably going to be off. It's a function of the radio. If you want to turn it back on, you can very easily. So there's your AM power. It's usually anywhere from 20 to 20, 27, 28, somewhere in there. It's always going to fluctuate a little bit. This is the 4-watt carrier here, so you know you have to take into consideration you know, regular power would be a lot less than in the 20s normally, so that's good, you know, it's real good. Just to show it on my Bird 43 here with the peak kit, I got a 50 in here, so 50 watt element. We're looking right in the middle. This is AM again, so about 25, a little over 25 at times. So power registries are about the same, you know, just I haven't showed one of these I don't think on the Bird before, so it's about a 25 watt radio. And you know, you can see right there 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check, 1 2 1 2 3. This actually LP might be a little more stingier than the bird at times, because right now I'm seeing about 25 on the bird and about 20 on the LP. So it really just depends on which meter holds the peaks, or picks the peaks up just a little bit longer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you know, you can say what you will about the LP, but I like that meter better. But it seems like it's actually doing more power on the bird. So there's 27 on the LP. So they read about the same. Let's put this back into sideband. Here's sideband. Let's take a look at the power here. So on sideband, 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. Check check. 1 2 1 2. About the same. You know, about the same. So we're not seeing much of a difference. 27. And on the bird here, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check check. 1 2. So gives you an idea of the 2 meters. Okay, Joseph, real quick here. Here's the receiver sensitivity on sideband. So it's about 127.1. And there it is up there. So that's good. You can actually run the RF gain back a little bit if you want to. It doesn't hurt it too much. I found about 8 is a good spot for it. The reason I say that is when you go to the RF gain setting, it's 0 to 8 or 0 to 10. Now it's at level 8. You can see actually I lowered the level coming out of the generator a little bit more, so now it's minus 128. And now we're at 12. So I think 8 is a really good spot to run it on this radio. So that's something to keep in mind for those that have it. You may want to consider running the RF gain back just a hair. I think actually you get a little bit more receiver sensitivity out of it with it back some. So that's just a little tip that I have for everybody. That's what I'm finding so far. I'll see if it does the same on AM. If it does, I'll come back and show it. Okay, here's AM, so it's about 112. 30% modulation. And there's 12 right there, so that's good. But the RF gain's all the way up. So if we come back and lower it, it doesn't do that as much here. It's just above 112. So I say maybe you could still do it. I mean, it's very minor adjustment there. Maybe just a little less on the gain. If you're in a noisy environment, you may want to do this, though. It's going to help you. And that's what I'm going to say is probably the tip here. There's 110 right there, so there's 111. So not a huge change going down from level 10 on RF gain to level 8. I think it's probably best to do it on the modes, probably on FM too. I'm not going to test FM because this video is getting kind of long. But I think it's probably a good idea for everybody that has these to probably run the RF gain back a little bit. And to do that, just hit the button here, hold it. There's your RF gain. And I think that's a good idea for everybody. Probably you don't need to run the gain up all the way. If you have a really quiet environment and you're not around to like a high residential area or business area, if you live out in the country, probably you're going to be able to get away with that more. But if you're in an urban environment or a city residential environment, you're probably going to want to run that back some. I'll have to do further testing on my antennas and stuff. I haven't had time to even sit and talk with one of these yet. I really want to. So there's that. But this one's done for you, Joseph. So yep, we'll definitely pack it well. My wife does a good job, so it'll arrive to you safely. Thanks a lot. And 73.